of friction and the explanation of the different types of friction. So today what we have to study? Today we have to study about the advantages and disadvantages of the friction. Then after, what are the things, what are the materials required to increase the friction or to decrease the friction. So first of all, we will go for the advantages of the friction. So I am writing advantages. So what are the advantages of the friction? Means how is friction helpful to us? Suppose that if we are walking anywhere and if there is no friction, lack of friction, we will not be able to. I'm riding on the board. You can see if I am riding on the board and if there is no friction, nothing will be written in that. So at least for walking properly, for moving here and there, for writing, for doing anything, for doing a lot of work, we need friction. In this way, friction is very helpful to us. Suppose that if we are driving a cycle, all of you are driving a cycle, and if there is no friction, then when you will apply the brakes, your cycle will not stop. The reason behind that is very simple. Because when you are applying a brake, you might have seen that there is a circle, wheel is there, and when you are applying a brake, there is a rubber at this position, and because of applying a brake, it sticks to the rim. So if the brake will not be applied, if friction will not be there, the brake will not be applied, and if brake will not be applied, then you will not be able to stop your cycle. So these are the advantages of the friction. Okay, next thing, how other things can work in the friction. So for other things, you can take many examples. You can see your book, there are a lot of examples written in that, and you can read it. Advantage. Okay, if it was the advantage, I have already told you, I have mentioned you in the class that every coin is having two sides, a head or a tail. So everything is having 2 points, either positive or negative. So positive things we have understood, that friction is helpful to us. But if we want to understand the negative thing, that means disadvantage, how friction is disadvantageous or how friction is harmful to us, that we have to understand. So first of all, let's change the heading, make it disadvantages. So in disadvantages, as I have told you earlier, that friction needs energy. Suppose that if I am rubbing the hand, that means I am producing a friction, both the hands are producing friction because of driving against each other. So we need more energy to overcome the friction. Suppose that we have to go on a walk, suppose that our cycle will have to go for a long ride and there is more friction. So we'll need more pressure, we need more energy to apply the cycle to reduce the friction. Like as if you are moving your cycle in sandy areas, so what you'll have to do, if you are moving in sandy areas, means अगर बालू में चलते हो तो क्या होता है, साइकिल चलाते हो तो you have to apply more force. Reason, वहाँ पे friction ज़्यादा है, there is a lot of sand, they will struck the wheels, jam कर लेते हैं. Then you need to apply more force by your leg, and then when more force is applied, then your cycle is moving. So in this, big machines are working, and because of the working of machine, there is friction created. So inside the machine, when the parts are moving vigorously or fastly, there is friction created, and because of the friction, there is heat generated. So sometimes sometimes it happens that because of the heat generated by the parts of the machine, it causes damage in that machine, and if the machine is damaged, your work will not come. So in this way, friction is also harmful to us. So if we take another example, like as if we have to work a lot, if we have to go for a long work, then we need to work a lot, then we need to apply more force. So in these cases, when we have to reduce the friction, we have to apply more force. So like that, friction is harmful to us. Next topic is increasing the friction. How we can increase the friction, not friction, sorry. So increasing the friction. For increase in frictional force, what we have to do, simple thing, very simple things that we have to follow. We have to make the surface rough. If surface is smooth, there will be less friction. If surface is rough, then there will be more friction. Suppose that you are walking on tiles. I'll tell you here again. I will discuss about advantages and disadvantages. Suppose that you are walking on a tile. Then what will happen? You will be walking easily. But if you are walking in a sandy area, then you will have to apply more force. You will have to do a lot of effort. Then you will be walking easily. Next example, in tiles, if water is there, then your legs will be slippery. So if legs will be slippery, there is chance that you might fall. So that is less friction. So what we have to do, the first thing that we can do to increase the friction is make the surface rough. Rough. So when the surface will be rough, then there will be more friction. Okay. Now, second thing, shoes, slipper. You might have seen your shoes and slipper. So at the bottom in the sole there are some designs made. डिजाइन बनी होती है ना जूतों में नीचे या चप्पल. So why it is made? क्या ऐसी फैशन? No. That is to create. Then it will create friction. Add हो जाएगी. That when friction is there, it causes the damaging of the soles of your shoes, damaging of the tires. टायर होते हैं, साइकिल के टायर होते हैं, जब देखते हो ना, जैसे कुछ लोग होते हैं बड़ी तेजी से बाइक चला के आते हैं और अचानक से ब्रेक लगा. So when they have applied brake all of a sudden, then what happens? Their tire is skid, and because of the skidding of the tire, जितने में वो skid करता है उतने में क्या होता है? वहाँ पे black color का mark लग जाता है. So what happens? Because of the friction, tires में क्या होता है? There was some designs made, there was some grooves made in the tire, and when brakes are applied, then that because of the friction, the tire skids, and it causes the tire to be damaged fast. जो टायर एक साल चलना था वो हो सकता है 9 महीने ही चलेगा. So like that it causes problem. So what we can write for increasing friction? We can write that grooves of tires should be more. Okay. Third thing, grooves of the sole of soles of shoes should be more. So in this way we can increase friction. So like that there are many factors that are responsible, that are causing friction. Suppose that if surface is slippery, you might have seen cricket. So what happens in cricket when there is grass? So the bowlers are running very easily, but if it has rained, जब बारिश हो जाती है तो क्या होता है? उनके पैर स्लिप करते हैं. So what they do? They put some sawdust at the place from where they have to throw the ball. क्यों रखते हैं? क्योंकि जब वहां से ball, when they are coming and they have to ball, so what they have to do? They have to stop all of a sudden and throw the ball. So at that time there is less friction, they can fall. So what they do? They put some sawdust, they put some sand at that place so that they will not fall. So what we can say? Next point we can add, put some sand or gravel so that there will be friction and you will not fall. So these are the factors that are responsible for increasing the friction, and there are many more. You will read your book and you will get it. So in this way the friction is helpful to us, friction is harmful to us, and second thing, it is also increased by using these factors. Now the last one is, the last topic of this is decreasing the friction. So I am going to erase it. Then after I am going to explain about the decreasing of friction, how the friction can be decreased, yeah, how the frictional force can be decreased. So very simple it is. For decreasing the friction, suppose that we were talking about the machines, we were talking about the vehicles that are running, and if there is friction created, so their parts will be damaged. So what we can do, we can apply some lubricant oil, grease. साइकिल चलाते हो उसमें क्या होता है, जब साइकिल भारी चलने लगती है, so what you do, you apply grease on the chain, चेन में ग्रीस लगाते हैं, ऑयल, क्यों? Because when the lubricant will be there, then it will cause less friction. और अगर lubricant नहीं है, then the chain will be dry and it will cause more friction. So if more friction is there, you'll have to apply more force. So what we can do? First thing, we can use lubricant oils. Lubricant oils can be used. Okay. Second thing, what happens? Surface should be smooth. The important one. Surface should be smooth. Planes are having a streamlined shape. Streamlined structure. Of planes. These all help in reducing the friction. In place of decreasing the friction, you can also write reducing the friction. Okay, reducing the friction. So in this way, we can reduce the friction. We can reduce the friction, and so that we can work properly. Next, many more points are there. If any surface is rough, you can make it smooth. If the surface is dry, you can use lubricant oil or you can use grease. So in these ways, there are some factors that are responsible for making or for reducing the frictional force, and so that we can work properly. So this was the last topic that we had to study in the chapter friction. Then in our next video, we will start the new chapter. Okay, so thank you. Okay.